July 2023 video horoscopes for the 12 signs with me, Lada, from Astrolada.com. I'm so excited. July, we have some of the most karmic configuration in the sky. Pluto, which is considered the planet that governs the evolution of the soul and the evolutionary path, and the most karmic and fatal and fated events will square the karmic nodes, which are considered the north node is the true north of the soul, the new karma soul has to create. The south node is the past karma soul has to create. So some very pivotal fated karmic events will happen, like the universe is no longer waiting for you to make up your mind. It's giving you consequences of your actions and is realigning you to the path that is most appropriate for your soul, whether you're ready or no. So some events that I'll say for each sign what these events will be will trigger a specific big consciousness shift and realigning of your karmic direction and the karmic path in life for your soul during the next month, July and into August. And we'll speak what events this can be for each one of you. But something pivotal, very important, is happening, guys. And Venus is turning retrograde, but helping this process with a trine. So I'm very excited for this month. And before I start, Nikola Stojanovic, my past teacher, the late Nikola Stojanovic, his books are still not out. His daughter is trying to publish them. He's the most genius astrologist who ever lived. But we're releasing all his courses, 9 courses, for a discounted price, or you can choose just 3 of his courses in a package and get them. This is part of my Lada's Top Picks that continues the whole till October 2023, where I recommend you the best astrology courses and the themes, and Nikola Stojanovic is for everything. I mean, if you want to do astrology like a magician, like a psychic almost, check out those courses. I cannot recommend them enough. And of course I do Q&A live once per month for each group till October. If you have questions for every new package of course I recommend. So thank you. Let's begin July. Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising, July 2023. Gemini, the most important events this month is of course the change of the nodes, the karmic nodes as we call them. And they're activated by the most karmic planet into a T-square, very karmic month. That's what I'm telling everyone. It's like, you know, some pivotal events will happen, but for you, the nodes are changing into signs that are supportive for you for the next year and a half. Actually, from Gemini, the nodes towards the 10th, 12th is moving into Aries, the north node, and that's an axis. These are not planets, but an axis. Well, the south axis of the karmic nodes is moving into your 5th house. So what can you expect for a year and a half? Well, whatever the north node is, that's where we become hungry for that area of life. We become temporarily passionate about it, even if we normally are not so interested in it. We can become quite excitable about it. So in your case, that can be about social life, what is happening in the world, politics. You might get involved yourself in movements, in groups of people with like-minded interests. You know, you'd want to be socially active. And that's very familiar energy to Gemini, because the 11th house is an air house and you're an air sign, so you're naturally social sign. And the north node accents and enhances this hunger for social interactions. So some of you might join groups, some of you online or in real life, some of you might start participating in, I don't know, whatever you want to do. When you do it through Rahu house, you can be much more successful. And you can, even if you want to lose weight, go on a group, you know, do it with a group, that you start some diet together online with a group or with friends. Or go on classes online, or go on classes in a group where you meet people, where you're able to socialize with them. Because Rahu, wherever it goes, we can have very fast success and results. It does not, like Saturn, make us work the hard way, take the lawful ways. No, the north node can act like an elevator, like a lift, that instead of climbing on the stairs like everyone else does it, when the North Node transits a house, you can take the lift up to the top. So do you want anything to do? You can rise, for example, very fast on social scale when the North Node is in the 11th house for a year and a half ahead. Because the 11th house is already an ambitious house of dreams and wishes. And if you want to belong to some prestigious group, have some privileges of some sort, the North Node transiting there can give it to you. It will definitely make you more ambitious to be recognized to society, to be seen. So now can be a time where you will become much more popular, widely known over the next year and a half in social circles, sometimes even positions that are social and that are socially involved in some way that will have impact on larger groups of people. If you have your own business, you can really expand your followings, the number of followers, for example, the number of clients that you have, your reach to people about your products or your ideas or your political views or whatever it is you want to spread out there. The 11th house is the house of spreading and reaching as many people as possible, of going viral, that's what they call it nowadays, and having influence on way more many people. So use it, whatever, translate whatever I'm telling you about this 11th house. If you're at school, you might be more popular. You might join the popular group now, or you might have access to, if you're still younger, to a group of people that you've always wanted to belong to be cool, or you might get accepted to a certain club that gives you access to something or more prestige, or if you're a businessman, more clients, more network. You can meet some people that with prestigious positions, that ambitious or more wealthy, or people that open doors for you now, and connections that can become financially, materially, and socially beneficial for you, for business or whatever it is. The 11th house is also the house where you can meet new friends when Rahu is there. Then they're not necessarily deep friendships. Now, you see, Rahu can trigger friendships that are more driven from useful interests together, because they can help you or you can help them in some way, but there is some material benefit at the end of that. There is some usefulness for your prestige or reputation, or for your dreams and goals that they help you achieve. They can be people that you start belonging, like a social climber. You can climb socially now because you join the right group of people, that you're seen with the right friends, with the right glamorous or whatever famous friends, or some kind of, think in those lines. Or definitely it can just expand the kind of people that are in your life, because North Node does not discriminate. It chooses based on can I benefit, and not if it's moral or no. And it's very adventurous and risque. So the North Node, you can make some new friendships. Usually North Node is something that people that are very different than you, from upbringing, from social class, different color of skin, different religion, or different social standing than you, even foreigners, or they come from a very different place than you. Say you live in Alaska, they live in Florida. Very different energy about them, new energy, something that breaks you out of the routine. Such kind of people enter your life that think differently, that are a bit risky for you, that feels like they're foreign, that are not similar to you, but it's exciting. They can open opportunities there. All right. What does the South Node in the 5th house mean? Well, maybe sometimes it can be neglecting a little bit your children because you're too focused on what's happening in the world, to be socially recognized, or to achieve your goals and wishes and dreams there in the 11th house, or connecting with others a lot more, so you're not so much in your heart, you're more in the social cloud. So sometimes I've seen it when the South Node transits the 5th house, children leave home, they go, maybe you disconnect a little bit from them, and that can be a natural and good process, that there is not much codependence, say, for some of you when children are growing up a bit. Or sometimes the South Node there can indicate in some more extreme cases, that there is some crisis in your relationship with a child. Let's hope it's not that. But there is a possibility, especially because Pluto is squaring this month the nodes in your 5th, in your 11th. So there might be some dilemma you have to solve there about your priorities, about your values connected to children or connected to your love life as well. The 5th house, when the South Node is there, you might have to let go and sacrifice some romantic relation or connection because of certain goals and ambitions, or because other people say so, because society thinks it's better for you. And I know you attempted to say, well, when the South Node is in the 5th house, I'm not telling you shouldn't follow your heart, but somehow if you want to have fast results, when the North Node is in the 11th house over the next year and a half, ask others for advice. It's almost like the social opinion can be important for you in some way and can give you a faster results. While with the South Node in the 5th house, sometimes there can be the need to sacrifice a romantic relationship or have less fun and time for your own personal pursuits of pleasure, some hobbies that you might have, the things that you like doing on your free time alone. You might not have as much time for those when the South Node transits the 5th house as a gesture of sacrifice, because you're much more involved with this more social 11th house, where you're pursuing some kind of recognition, some kind of social recognition, public recognition, or goals and dreams that you're putting your passions, energy, and time. And that's why maybe either children or loved ones you're not going to be so involved there. And sometimes in extreme cases, as I said, they might be letting go of romantic interest, partner, letting go of some kind of hobby that you've had. This doesn't block you and the South Node does not block you from experiencing any of those things: romantic relationship, children, creative pursuits, but it can make you a bit disinterested in them. Of course, unless you have something in Sagittarius like the Sun or the Ascendant or the Moon, then it flips, so you feel a bit of both, just like I have, like Ascendant in this sign, Moon in the other, so then it's something, you feel it a bit of both. Now, because the nodes are squared this whole month in July by Pluto, there can be some situation for some of you that is more critical, more karmic, that you're being asked to make some important decision in regards to either your love life or your social life, your goals and dreams, or your creative projects. And there is some skip step that this Pluto triggers. A square to the nodes is always indicates a skip step in something, and in this case it's Pluto in the 8th house. I don't know, like digging. You might have to dig up in something deep, maybe with a psychologist, maybe on your own, like some secret can come to the surface, some sudden realization about something about your shadow side, or something of a darker side, or something that was buried below that can trigger you this month. And there might be some very deep psychological realization that is happening, that is triggering this whole karma release, and hopefully being freed from some karmic situations as well, while pushing you into a new karmic situation. So even if there's some crisis in romantic relationships, or with loved ones and children, or some creative project of yours, there is something possibly that was hidden till now, or buried, or traumatic, that might be released and hopefully healed, and that will trigger change there. I cannot be very specific. Again, one needs to know the specific situation of the person they're talking about to know how it can play out. That's why astrology is a psychic. You tell them your own situation in detail, and then they can say, well, this is a possibility how this can play out, and so on. But something karmic, some kind of a build-up of karma that gets released this whole month in July. It builds up. Pluto squares the nodes, and it can come out from any of those four, or even this angle in the second house of finances. So it can be a situation that is karmic about finances, money, your partner's resources, your mutual finances, insurances, inheritances, secrets, dramas, psychological situations, or children, lovers, romantic interests, creative projects, or friends, with people in your social environment, or your goals and dreams and wishes. All of those angles, something very karmic can transpire from one of those areas. What is helping in this process is Venus, that is keeping a trine with the North Node and sextile with the South Node all the time from your third house, guys, because it's turning retrograde, so it's pretty much stays stuck around the same degrees for a long time this month. So maybe friends can help you. Again, in the third house is social house. Maybe talking it out with others can help you. Maybe reading about what is happening can help you. Or talk therapy. Or just spending time with people you love, that you hang out, that you talk, you communicate it with. Or just reading, talking, communicating, and so on. But Venus is turning retrograde. And that's great because, I love Venus retrograde. And in the third house for you, again, it's very supportive. It will enhance for you another social house. Just like the North Node for a year and a half will enhance this 11th house that allows you to manifest a lot of, the 11th house, more friends, more popularity, more gains and income. I forgot to say the North Node can make you more gainful, suddenly make more money. Well, Venus will also increase, or will help you, to keep things smooth in your social communications. Even if it's retrograde, Venus is still diplomatic, kind, polite. What can mean that it turns retrograde after the 22nd of July and the whole of August? You might meet up with friends you haven't met for a while. Teammates, workmates from the past, siblings, relatives that you haven't seen for a while. And if Venus is making good aspects in your horoscope from Leo, so if you have other planets in air and fire sign, then Venus will be making good aspects, then you have great times with those people. But if Venus is making challenging aspects, there might be some confrontations or some kind of needs to negotiate certain relationships with siblings, renegotiate them, find new rules for them, or maybe if it's not fair, you have to address it again in a diplomatic way, without sharp words, without threats. Venus does it charmingly with a silver tongue. And you have to solve certain problems with siblings, with relatives, or with neighbors, with teammates, if you work in a group, with workmates, with someone as well. These are people in your everyday environment, if Venus is making hard aspects from there, that you have to communicate on a daily basis, and check up your communications, that there are not some misunderstandings that you have to be more clear about and more specific about. Also some missing documents or papers or anything to do with documentation. When Venus starts going retrograde, you might have to redo a few of those papers, documents, agreements, to look over them. If it's not fully fulfilling you now, how can you change it that it's more fulfilling? Or if it's not fulfilling, you can even end such a contract or agreement with people. Of course, it can be a good time to check up your communication devices, to repair them, to fix them. Or if you want to buy second-hand, Venus retrograde can be okay for that. Second-hand car, second-hand phone, communication devices, and so on. You can reconnect with old teammates, workmates now. Old people in your environment from before can come. It can be for good again. But usually even Venus, even when it makes difficult aspects I always find it when it's retrograde in the third house is more, there can be some rethinking of who are the people in your life and change of the social environment. Yes, this I have seen. And you can even withdraw a little bit from the current social environment, but usually there is someone to fill in, like people you haven't seen in a while. There's emotional connection and bond. And there's also a lot of enjoyment of learning something. But while Venus is retrograde, it's something that you've studied before, something that you come back to, or maybe coming back to a project like online or marketing or communication project, or something to do with a website that you haven't completed, that you come back, or to some unfinished job that you come back to, which is third house, connected to education, to children, to learning, to courses, connected to community, to society, connected to neighbors, and so on. So let's see how this all plays out for you. But I think both the Venus who's supporting Gemini with trines, with social support, the North Node. So the next few months ahead, you can become socially popular or socially supported and achieve your social goals. Or if you're a business person, reach to more clients. If you're a social figure, have more impact socially. And with Venus in your third house, your voice will be heard and you'd attract more associates that like you, that support you, and so on. So thank you. And yeah, I'll see you next month.